thinks, you know how you've always lived with a cat and gotten along really well with a cat. Well, that's why we're talking about cats and indeed 140 years of looking after cats with Battersea. I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. Brydie Williams and Hazel Adams, thank you so much for joining me on A Dog's Life. You're talking from Battersea Cats and Dogs Home on the amazing landmark milestone of 140 years of not only helping dogs, but helping cats too. What does this milestone mean to you?
So I just think it's amazing that we've been here 140 years for cats. And one of the fantastic things when you look through our history is just the sheer amount we've learned about these complex animals and the time that we've been going. I'm always saying that I'm learning something new, if not every day, at least every week about cats. So to me, it just sort of means we've gone from wanting to help cats to now being quite world leading with our sort of cat welfare, our stress management, our assessments of their temperament so that we're rehoming them responsibly and so on. So yeah, it's just a really proud moment for us and we're really excited to be celebrating it.
Hazel, from your point of view, say how excited you are again about this milestone.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Along the back of what Brydie has said, I think for so long it was kind of Battersea Dogs Home, and a lot of people do associate us with just rehoming dogs and having dogs with us. But actually, especially in most recent years, the cats have taken such a forefront and we're doing so much work to really push them. And, the work that we're putting into learning about them. And just as Brydie says, you are learning something new every day. Cats are incredibly complex, and it makes our job so exciting to be able to sort of push that knowledge and push that education to kind of give the better life for cats as well. So it's something that we're really proud to push, especially 140 years. You can just imagine the things that we've learned and the things that we've done for cats in that time.
Gosh, I mean,
rehome just as many cats as dogs, just to put this out there as well. So
yeah,
you do. So how many do you rehome on average a year?
So I think this year, correct me if I'm wrong, Hazel, we're looking at around 2,000 cats that we'll have sort of rehomed, which is a phenomenal number. And it's 250,000 since we started looking after cats.
250,000, gosh. Yeah. And how many dogs, just to put it in perspective or comparison?
Oh, that's
no,
yeah.
you don't, a huge
not too
amount.
Clued up.
Yeah,
amount. This, I'd say probably not that far off. We tend to be sort of a similar level.
Yeah, and the history of Battersea is so lovely, because it was founded by an amazing woman up the Holloway Road, I believe.
Yes, yeah, Mary Tilby, yes.
And then that plot, which is still there, despite London changing, because obviously London back then in about, what was it, 1888?
1883 was the year that we started looking after cats, but obviously we were looking after dogs for years before that. It was 1860 that it was created. Then I found it quite interesting. The way we started looking after cats was there was a advert put in the newspaper where the public got to vote on whether Battersea Dogs Home would start looking after cats as well. And unanimously, everyone said, yes, do look after the cats as well. So that was fortunate for all of the cats and for us.
Yeah, no, totally. But I so get it. I was one of these people. I'm a hardened dog lover, as everybody knows, and so on. And cats were the only pet I never grew up with. So when an amazing tuxedo striking kitten landed in my garden 13 years ago with my first bull terrier who hated cats, aged 9, I really didn't think this was going to work. But Gremlin, was determined to stay. I mean, that was that. And long story short, Molly, my bull terrier, and he became the best of friends. Like, they were inseparable. It was like The Incredible Journey, that Disney film. He would come on walks with us. They were absolutely inseparable. And of course, when Molly passed, Gremlin did grieve. I saw that. And when Molly was ill, what he would do, and I had to ring a cat behaviorist, a friend of mine, to actually say, am I dreaming what I'm seeing? Okay, because he would bring her, we were living in Buckinghamshire at the time in a rural setting, let's put it into perspective, we weren't in Hackney, and he would bring her rabbits that he'd found in the fields, but they were alive. and he'd bring them in and just give them to Molly. And sure enough, yes, this is cat behavior. When they know that someone in their group isn't well, they will bring them offerings to cheer them up and help make them better. Extraordinary. For me, it's this science and the lack of knowledge in a way that's out there on cats. I think, until you've had a relationship with a cat, as it were, you don't understand how enormously special they really, really are, and perhaps underestimated. People all think, oh, I must have a dog, because of Instagram now that's popularizing dogs more and more and more, and you can dress dogs up. Not that I agree with that, but you know what I'm saying. But with cats, you're more limited because you can't take them from A to B. Certainly, I would say dressing them up is a no-no. So they actually were the third most popular pet during lockdown, I read somewhere. Dogs were number 1, cats were number 3, and rabbits were number 2. What do you make of that?
I think part of the thing with cats is just also how subtle they can be with their behavior and the way that they let you know how they're feeling and so on. So they can sometimes, you need to give them that space and time and patience before you maybe truly get to know your cat and their temperament and how to interact with them to get the best, most trusting relationship together. And that sometimes can maybe work against cats who have, there are more immediate sort of interactions potentially with sort of certain animals, and dogs in particular.
Yeah. I mean, how, obviously 140 years is a very long time, and the world has really changed in this time, of course. So, in today's modern world, with all the pressures that we have, lifestyles and different types of accommodation now, where do you see cats fitting in? I suppose in this big debate, should cats be outdoor to express their natural behaviors and, have a great life, killing rats and doing what they are pre-programmed to do? Or, is it okay to keep them indoors and try and satisfy their needs, with toys and all the rest of it?
I think for us as Battersea, we are someone that really kind of pushes the sort of supporting the natural behaviors of cats, and being outdoors is one of those very big sort of priorities that a lot of cats do have. We are keen to support the public and those that are rehoming cats and giving them advice on how we can do that in the sort of lifestyle that we have for them now. And I know that, especially we've made the pushes for landlords and things like that to allow pets in properties, and, really pushing for making it easier to own a cat, really, and in the way that we can support them and give them outside access. And there are sort of times that we do say that a cat might be suitable for an indoor home, that's a little bit older, has a history that supports it, can cope living with indoors, but for sure this is it's definitely something that we will push for, and believe that a cat should have that outside access, freedom to come and go as they want. And I think, touching on what Brydie was saying about their independence, giving them that choice and control and independence sometimes makes that bond a little bit more rewarding, and knowing that they've got that freedom, and you're giving them everything they need, and they still choose to be with you, and to have that kind of affection and relationship.
Oh, Hazel, I so agree with that. I always used to say when Gremlin used to come home, it was like the biggest compliment I ever had, because he was free, particularly when we lived in the Shire. He had amazing land. I mean, once he brought a moorhen back from the lake, right, which was quite far away. And I looked out and I was like, oh no, there's a dodo in my garden, because I'd never actually seen a moorhen's feet, and they're enormous and they're like great big paddles. And I'm like, Gremlin, not again. He was named Gremlin for a reason, but he had lots of fun. I mean, I think Buckinghamshire's wildlife did breathe a huge sigh of relief when we moved back to London. But, that's the thing. I mean, cats often get a bad rap for that from some naturalists, don't they? In terms of the fact, they do kill birds.
Yeah. We have also, thinking about cats, when you say what do they need, we do also have our working cat scheme, which is those cats that aren't going to cope in that sort of domestic setting, where we do send them out to farms and stables and that side of things. And that's where they're actually being utilized sometimes for mouse control. And so the wildlife that may be to keep it under control, that the cats are there working in a way that is beneficial for the wildlife and keeping it in check, kind of thing.
And I think for those sorts of cats as well, in a domestic setting, that we do get those prolific hunters coming through. It's in their priority. It's what they want to do. We do give a lot of advice in supporting that for owners so that we can try and sort of decrease that as much as possible, because we totally understand it's not something that's desirable for a lot of owners to have. So we have plenty of advice that we do give for those that are kind of dealing with a prolific hunter, just to try and keep it minimal for them. It is a natural thing for them, but there are things that you can do to keep them well enriched in the home as well, and try and decrease it maybe a little bit. But absolutely, it's not always desirable, but it's a natural behavior.
No, I know, but Gremlin, when he moved in, so I've always lived in a basement flat in London, so I have a garden, and we had a mouse problem. I had a mouse problem. It was trouble, and obviously because of Molly, I couldn't put I would never put anything toxic down, and but equally, I got home once from the radio late at night, and I sat on the sofa, and when you get that feeling someone's watching you, and I looked to my left, and I couldn't believe it. There was a mouse sat on the top of my cushion going, "Evening," and I thought, no, this has to stop. It was dreadful. And Molly couldn't be bothered. And then Gremlin moved in, and honestly, within 48 hours, we had no more mice. I think they just departed. They knew the big claw had moved in, and it was in their interest to get out, and it was extraordinary. But he did bring a couple of rats in over the time, just for a laugh, actually, Gremlin. He was so naughty. So it's been fun and games, over the years. It's broadened my horizons. I mean, one of the things Gremlin did, but this is the thing with cats. I think, people need to know they're mischievous, or they can be. They do bond with their human, because a lot of science over the years that might put people off a cat is that it once said, they don't bond with their humans. They're not pack animals. They bond with their territory. And that's why, of course, moving house with a cat, you've got to really be methodical. You've got to be very conscious that, you've got to take it very slowly, introduce them to their new environment, and keep them indoors for a good few weeks, really. So, but what would you say on that? Do cats build relationships with humans?
Absolutely. They do build strong bonds. Particularly some cats can be exceptionally bonded to like one particular person in the home. It's about giving them that, choice and control, as we've said, because that's what cats love, but also sometimes just time and the patience for them to sort of form that trusting bond with you, because it's really important to gain that trust with cats. And absolutely, I believe they do bond with people very strongly.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, it's interesting for me. We keep talking about Gremlin, but I'm an interesting case, I suppose, in that I would never have ever thought I'm going to get a cat or bring a cat into my life because of the dogs. But then it appears these cats have had other views on that and have moved in, or chosen me, which again, when it happened with Gremlin, I mean, of course I advertised him every way. He didn't have a chip. He still had his testicles as a 5-month-old kitten, which were removed. And I kept threatening him when he was naughty, actually. I kept saying, I believe there's a nice place south of the river where you're going to find your forever home, Gremlin, if you don't behave. My point being, don't underestimate cats. And perhaps because I see a lot of dogs at the moment, arguably not living in the best accommodation for the breed of dog, or so on and so forth. There's a lot going on, I think, with, the post-pandemic fallout now with dogs. And I just think, cats are a fantastic pet. And they don't need walking every day. They don't need as much attention from you, I don't think, as a dog. They're very grateful with small amounts given regularly. And of course, it's up to individuals to bring the best out of their cat. You can train a cat and all of this. But, would you say maybe if more people had got cats through the pandemic, we may not be having this massive abandonment crisis of dogs?
In regards to what you say around the amount of time needed for a cat, I think it's very cat specific, because some cats might need multiple play sessions in a day because it's with their human that they get out some of that play behavior that they need to do. Or some cats can be more needy as such, of wanting to sort of be around their humans. So I think it's dependent on individual cats as to how much time you may need to give them. And particularly with kittens, a lot of people don't understand quite how much time and effort and consistency kittens might need. So that sort of thinking of cats can be just an easier pet. isn't always the case in regards to sort of time, energy needed for them, particularly if people do want to keep cats more indoor or without cat flap access, so they're sort of more indoors with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Because, you know, the potential of them is so great. And I do agree, you know, I mean, I think I was lucky having outdoor access. I don't think, you know, Gremlin would have survived being an indoor cat without doubt. No, I mean, that would never have happened with Gremlin. But yes, so tell me, do you both have cats? Have you both got rescue cats from Battersea?
I have a Battersea cat. Do you have a Battersea?
I have 2 Battersea cats, yeah.
Oh, so tell me a bit about those. Bridie, you go first with yours.
So I'm a bit obsessed with older cats. As soon as they're about 12, that's when I tend to fall in love with them. So I got my cat Bear just over 4 years ago from Battersea, and he was 13 at the time. So he's still, that's why I was thinking about how much play and time he needs, because he's very, very playful, even though he's older, and he likes a lot of time, but he doesn't necessarily like going out as much anymore. Now that he is older, he sort of chooses to sort of be indoors a bit more. That's why we can sometimes say that those cats may be more suited to that, but he's wonderful, and he's a huge character, and I wouldn't be without him.
Oh, Hazel.
I've got 2 failed fosters. So I foster kittens, orphan kittens or hand rears, and they stayed with me. 2 separate fosters, but Oberon and Ophelia, and they are absolutely crazy. You know, they're hand rears, so they're kind of very much that I am the forefront of all their priorities, and they need me all the time. So for sure, we know when we're talking about the type of attention that they need me a lot of the time. I'm in demand most of the day, all day, every day.
That's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I've noticed this with this stray cat, Baggy. I've named him Baggy only because he's got bags of character. Who landed on my doorstep in a terrible state. And actually, with my neighbour, what I've realised in the last few months is that cats, you know, there's loads in rescue. And my neighbour actually found a cat in Maidenhead where her mum lives, and in the end her mum has kept this stray cat because my neighbour said, Anna, I found a cat, would you want her? And I said, no, I can't possibly ever have another cat ever again. You know, I was at that moment. And apparently Battersea, because when Baggy landed on my doorstep, my neighbour said, Anna, the rescues are full. Battersea has a 3-month waiting list. I'm on that list. If they get back to me, you know, hopefully I can offer my place to Baggy. You know, if you work out it's not going to work out, because Prudence, my bull terrier, was a bit difficult about Baggy at the beginning. Anyway, that's all resolved now. So, and sure enough, Battersea got in touch with my neighbour, offering a space after 3 months. So this really says to me there is a crisis out there. And I tried other rescues as well initially for Baggy, but everyone was full. Several didn't reply, actually. So I thought, oh, gosh, I'm just going to keep him. He's obviously been sent by Gremlin. And this is going to be a great test of rehabilitation and pushing my skill set with cats, which is something I'm really excited to do. So basically there is a crisis, isn't there? And really people should think very carefully about bringing any pet into their home, cat or dog, but also to think about a cat. You might be thinking, listening to this, I want a dog in 2024, but maybe a cat is the better option. Hazel, what do you think? Bridie?
I mean, I think, yeah, there is we've seen such an increase recently in our intake, specifically with cats as well. You know, we are running very long waiting lists. It's we've kind of hit a little bit of a crisis point in kind of doing what we can to help the cats that are on our list, help the cats that are in our care, pushing for rehoming, that sort of thing. So yeah, I do believe we're in a little bit of a tricky point at the moment. But again, you know, touching on, you know, whether people are considering getting a cat versus a dog, I think it's almost non-comparable. I don't think it's something you can compare in terms of what you're looking for, because they are so incredibly different. Especially with cats, it's so individual. With, you know, each cat is so different. So, you know, if you are considering getting a cat, I'd encourage you to sort of have a look on our website if there's anything that kind of you like the sound of that would suit your needs, and then get in touch with a rehomer who can sort of do a reverse matching process. And that's when we can look at your needs, and if there's a specific cat you're interested in, their needs, and making sure that those needs match. So it's absolutely not a kind of a point of, you know, someone wants a cat, they can come in and we'll give them something that matches their needs. It's got to be the right thing for the cat as well. So it's, you know, either way, considering a cat or a dog, I think it's kind of, we want to make sure that everyone's needs are met in the best way possible.
Absolutely. Bridie, what would you say to that? And I mean, because sometimes when you're looking to adopt a dog, normally all rescues invariably will say no cats. And at one point, I was looking to bring in a younger dog, but I had gremlin. So I just thought, oh, it's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to adopt because I've got a cat. Does it work the opposite way, with cats in your care? So it's like no dogs, or is it flexible?
Yeah, so this is where it is really fantastic to come to a rescue setting to get your new cat, because what we do is we look at like their history. We if a cat's very bold, if it's lived with dogs before, so has a great history with dogs, if it's a kitten that we think absolutely this could work, then we can actually match you to a cat that we think will be able to settle in with a dog in the home. We can also give you all that advice about introducing cats and dogs, because that is the most important thing, is making sure that you do that process at the right speed for both of the animals. And we can give you advice around, well, what will the cat's body language be like? What will you see in your cat when it's ready to meet the dog and when it's settled? So by coming to places like Battersea, you can make sure that you're doing the best by both animals and actually find the right fit. And we are very flexible, because we want people to rehome from us and we want cats to go out into their new homes. So we will be as flexible as possible, responsibly, so that, it works out for everyone. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, because I mean, what I've seen, only in the last 13 years, is this amazing interspecies communication going on, which is absolutely delightful, and also it's enrichment in a way for both of them, both the dogs and cats. When they get on, it's actually really fun, and they have their friends. And
nice when we get updates, because when customers, when they take cats home, they'll send us, once the cat's settled, photos and let us know. And when we get them and it's a cat and the dog and they're all happily together, it's just so wonderful. And we do, that's what we get, because we do offer so much support. It like invariably works out and we get wonderful updates. So it's always really lovely to see those.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. Well, where can people go? I mean, all the links are going to be in the show notes, but with cats specifically, where would you guide people who are listening to find out more, basically, and how they can explore cats at Battersea?
Yeah, I think straight to our website, really, our Battersea website. You can meet the cats that we've got up for rehoming on there. And each cat will have a little bit about their personality, a little sort of blurb, as it were, about the cat. So you can get an idea of the type of cat that you're maybe interested in. And we always try and sort of recommend people to be fully registered before they contact us. It just helps the sort of rehoming process a little bit quicker, so that we've got all the information that we need to start that matching process for a cat as well. So definitely just encourage people to have a look on our website. If there's a cat they like the look of, get registered, fill out our form online, and then we can be in contact and chat through the cats that you're interested in.
I can confirm we have many lovely
yes,
cats on our sites at the moment.
So many.
Their lovely homes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I bet you get lots of pregnant cats, and then obviously you've got to have the birthing and raise the tiny kittens, and kittens are so cute. But we must say to everyone, kittens, like puppies, they grow into grown-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. I think kitten season has been quite long this year. We've been very in demand with kittens, so it's kind of, we've been a lot of kitten homes that we've had available for rehoming, and on that, it's really important for us to use this platform and sort of encourage the neutering side of things. And I know that recently, very soon, we'll be having the microchipping law coming in as well for cats, so that's going to be needed for cats the law to have a microchip, which is really great news.
Really great news. I mean, Graham was obviously chipped, and I am going to get Baggy chipped, actually, because he hasn't got a chip. Obviously, that was checked. And then, it's kind of like that big commitment. He's now definitely mine, but he does seem to want to stay, And I tell you, the last 4 months, it's been so amazing. I've had to push my dog training skills to the absolute limit, and really work on this. And it's been so rewarding, I can't tell you. So one day I hope you'll meet Baggy, bags of character. And I so wanted him to be, you could see him in the background.
He's a very, very handsome boy.
He is, isn't he? Well, he is looking at it now. He's
I like the little white bit on his bib.
Yeah, it's so sweet, gorgeous. Isn't it? That you couldn't even see that. And yes, and he may end up, being neutered at the moment. I mean, honestly, the shock of seeing bare testicles, i.e. without any fur, was absolutely, I just went, oh. And that's what made me realize he wasn't a kitten. He was just minute because he hadn't got any muscle or any fat or any fur on him. So he looked minute. So it was a terrible shame. But I tell you, they were quite big. So, but now he's kind of got more into proportion and they've got lots of hair on them. It's all a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Yes, which is just a little add-on here. But yeah. So, well, look, thank you so much, Brydie and Hazel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's our show, Mr. Binks. What did you think? Yes, indeed. You do like a bit of interspecies communication. And what's that? Yes, you're right. It is time for Woof of the Week. If you're thinking about bringing a pet into your life this year, please adopt, don't shop. And if a dog was your first thought, maybe a cat would suit you better. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go on, rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcasts. Thanks again to Brydie Williams and Hazel Adams for joining us today, and all the links to Battersea are in the show notes. Thanks, of course, to Mike Hansen, my producer, for all the music and production as ever. Find out more about him at Pod People UK. And find out more about me, some packages I offer for training and nutrition. I'm just at Anna Webb Dogs. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, you're right. We will be back in your feed next Sunday. So why don't you make it easy and subscribe now? That way, you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.
Pod People.